be advised, the opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Everything we listen to, everything we watch, everything we read, everything we wear. Behind all our favorite things, there is an author, an artist, an inventor. Genuine, real, original. Pushing the limits of imagination and innovation for our comfort, our enjoyment, making life interesting. Enjoy their efforts, respect them. They help shape our world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Intellectual Property on TV. I'm your host, Attorney Sarah Jane Sugitan. We are still continuing the interviews or profiling of our mediators from the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. And tonight, joining me is Justice Teresita Diliaco Flores and Attorney Edith Hechanova. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening, Sarah.
Thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm sure you're going to share your experiences in mediation with us in order to, well, promote this alternative mode of dispute resolution to our viewers. But before that, I'd also like to bring the good news that the House has approved the copyright bill creating the Bureau of Copyright, and it will soon be discussed in the Senate in order to give better protection for our Filipino artists and the media. And so, well, first of all, I have the usual list of questions here. How did you get into intellectual property, Justice Flores? First.
Something interesting. I find the Intellectual Property Office as a kind of office that's a little bit not on the ordinary lane of public service. It deals about intellectual creations, and it tells us about what rights do intellectual creators are given by the law, and how intellectual creations help business in a particular country. Throughout the world, people who are in business always look forward to intellectual property rights, new inventions, new ideas, and how intellectual property ideas can be channeled towards global acceptance. And it's for that reason that it's a wonderful way of allowing the world to share, to receive, and make use of intellectual creations.
You will agree with me, of course, that the Filipino people are very creative po, and of course there are many intellectual property generated by our fellow men and women every day. There's brands, there are well, books, there are music, film, and everything, and also inventions in the field. And usually when money is involved or siguro ownership, yan po usually nagkakaroon ng cases. And you were with the Court of Appeals for the longest time.
Well, for over 5 years.
For over 5 years. But before that, Justice, you were you an RTC judge po?
89, I was an RTC judge for 6 years. Then in the Commission on Elections as a commissioner, also for 6 years. Then for over 3 years as a professor in the Philippine Judicial Academy. Then to the Court of Appeals for over 5 years. After that, I went back to the Philippine Judicial Academy as a consultant.
And very active pa rin po kayo sa Philippine Judicial Academy.
Yes, now I have moved to Intellectual Property Office.
Oh, well, congratulations on that, and I am sure you are, well, making a lot of proposed reforms and policy changes in the Bureau of Legal Affairs and also in the Intellectual Property Office.
Well, giving assistance to some little problems so that we can find solutions to those little problems. You know, even if you have the rules, procedure, everything, every now and then you may find a situation where you think there are certain kinks in the provisions. And given my past as a legal practitioner, then my days in the Regional Trial Court, which is a court of general jurisdiction, And as in the Court of Appeals, which is an appellate court, somehow it allows me to see just how the law is being applied. So along that line, you have a better grasp of how things are in the judiciary and the way it impacts on the life of the ordinary man, given our processes to settle conflicts, human conflicts.
And well, you were involved also with elections, so I suppose
Yes.
napakainat na topic yan. Attorney Edith Hadjanova, how did you get into intellectual property practice?
I've been practicing intellectual property law since 1991. Lawyering is a second career for me. I was a certified public accountant and also involved in human resources management. So when I graduated law and passed the bar, I was interested in consumer protection. So when I joined the law firm, I said my preference was intellectual property. So that's how I started.
And speaking of consumer protection, I was telling you earlier, we had Attorney Di Magiba of the DTI Bureau of Consumer Protection and Trade Regulation. And he was also telling us that a lot of businesses are not aware that in order to protect their intellectual property, their brands, they have to register with the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. And that's definitely, you'd agree with me that it's the first step towards eliminating siguro these imitations and the other cases that usually come into the IPO.
Yeah, certainly registration is very important, especially now that we are under a registration regime for trademarks especially. And I think the confusion for businessmen maybe in the beginning was, or even up to now, is that they think that registering their name is enough. So they forget that they have to register their brand or their trademarks to protect their services or protect their goods.
Yes, you mentioned that before we were under the first use system. Tama po ba? Ngayon, it's a first to file system.
Yes.
So definitely dapat proactive yung mga owners ng intellectual property towards
dapat
protecting
i-rehistro
themselves.
nila
Yeah,
para
kasi,
mas ang protection, mas malakas ang protection.
Yes, kasi yun ang regime ngayon. But before, it's first to use system, so no need for, at least you need to prove lang that you were the first to use that brand. Or that
Hindi pa
trademark.
naman nawawala yung use requirement, but ang pinopromote ngayon is the trademark owner should be very aware that there is a registration system. It will give them better protection.
Okay, so Justice Flores, for you, what does mediation mean? I mean, have you always been in the practice of mediation, even with the PhilJA?
For some time now, I was a member of the second mission to Canada from the Philippine Judicial Academy to study about alternative dispute resolution. And it was not just mediation, but it included judicial dispute resolution as a process which is now being popularized by the Philippine Judicial Academy with the blessings of the Supreme Court. Now, mediation is a process whereby parties in conflict are being encouraged by rules of procedure where they're allowed to sit down, they are made to understand what are the processes involved, what a mediator does in order to encourage the parties to negotiate, and what are the benefits that you get if you are a party that consents to a mediation proceeding. You see, whether it is the mediation proceeding in the Intellectual Property Office or mediation proceedings before the courts, one of the things that you are immediately made to know is, first, when you appear before the court, all cases are ruffled. You never have a choice who will sit in your case.
Who will be the judge?
Yes, who will be the judge. Unlike in mediation, one of the rules is you are presented a roster of mediators,
And
then
get
you
to
choose. So it is something that would encourage trust right away in the process. You would like always to choose a person whose competence and integrity you are quite well aware, in order that during the proceedings, you will feel comfort that the problem that you have will eventually find the kind of solution that satisfies the parties. So that prevents frustration. And considering our litigious nature,
Yes.
we have not, or we have really to do something that will move people from that kind of nature to the kind of environment where they will always think about, is there a peaceful way to resolve
Solving.
our conflicts? And happily there is. Mediation is one process. So it's a question of popularizing the idea and allowing the public to catch up with the process and let them see that there are alternatives to litigation process in courts.
Yun po yung maganda sa mediation because usually, yes, I agree with you. We are, as a people, we are litigious.
Yes.
Alam mo yun, yung like a branch of a tree ng neighbor na punta sa'yo, didemanda mo na yung kapitbahay mo or nag-disturb yung aso, ganun, or something. So, that's right. And also, nakakaklag po yun ng dockets ng courts.
Sure.
And, well, you as a judge would know that. And also, Attorney Ed, as a practitioner, di ba? Very
Yeah.
litigious tayo. Pero mediation, as you said, it comes to, I mean, ang bottom line is to have a win-win solution.
Yes.
Something na both of us can agree in order to end pareho yung,
Yes.
yung conflict.
Correct.
Okay, how about Attorney Hachanova? How do you view mediation vis-a-vis litigation?
Well, from the lawyer's point of view, litigation is, of course, very exciting if you are prosecuting either party, okay? But mediation certainly is this alternative process for solving a dispute is very important, I think. Firstly, because I think one of the advantage is that there is party autonomy. In other words, the solutions being adopted by the parties is something that they have agreed on,
Yes, they have both agreed on,
yes.
yes, or chosen. even.
chosen. So they come up with the options. So it's really a problem solving process. Of course, some parties would just like to say, oh, let somebody else decide. So, but I think during the mediation process, when they get to understand how it's going to be done, and the advantages are, what the advantages are, for example, it's very cost effective, then certainly it's a very good alternative rather than going to litigation.
Both of you are handling cases under mediation as of
Yes.
the moment. And paano po yung reception ng ating mga stakeholders who have, well, this is mandatory, this is made mandatory under the rules, no? So
Yes.
lahat po ng pending cases in the hearing officers po ng intellectual property offices now, more or less under mediation.
Yes.
So, except for those who are, meron din po mga exceptions
Oh, may
as usual.
exceptions, yeah.
Yeah, so, paano po yung reception ng mga stakeholders? If, for example, your clients na undergoing mediation at the
Okay.
moment.
Happily, a good number received very well. Yung tipo bang may orientation na, bakit natin pag-aawayan ito ng matagal? Eh, pwede pala natin pag-usapan. Di ba? Now, sa court usually, parang hirap and one party na, pwede ba pag-usapan natin? Dahil may perception na pag ikaw ang nag-approach na una, baka sabihin, I am making the offer because
Mahina
I
ang
have a
case.
weak
Oo.
case. Parang ganon.
Parang talo na ako. Parang
Yes.
ganun.
Ngayon, the initiative is coming from the court. Ang sinasabi ng hukuman, kung pwede itong pag-usapan natin. Diba? Hindi naman kayo, you happen to be neighbors, isang community, bakit hindi natin ito pag-usapan muna? Even in labor cases, yung mga union versus management, maraming opportunities na kinukumbinsin na natin, huwag natin patagalin. Dahil pag pinatagal, lalo yung, kumbaga sa parang the parties agonize. Kahit na papaano, for as long as you have that conflict, and it is unresolved for long, kumbaga sa parang mahirap ang tulog na maganda, di ba? But, when you put the parties in such a situation where, frankly, ang gusto ko lang naman ho, ganito, hindi naman ho malaki. At ano naman ho yung pwede gusto ninyong marinig sa amin. And then, the communication starts, no? Of course, guided by the mediator. But, ang maganda dito, there are instances na may parties na parang hirap na isabi niya sa kalaban kung ano ang gusto niya, no? Is the other side very oppressive? Parang ganon. Kasi kung minsan hindi pinag-uusapan yung pera lamang, kung minsan pinag-uusapan is the pain that you have suffered because of the treatment of another. Pero pagka nagmi-mediate, yung dalawang parties pag-uusap, nagni-negotiate, sila mismo ang naghahanap ng solution sa kanilang problema. And, you know, that's something that can provide an environment of friendship because you're reaching out to the other in a very frank communication. And we have lots of opportunities like that. When I was in the Court of Appeals, I was assigned sa Cagayan de Oro, mayroong isang landowner na convicted in a contempt proceedings because he refuses to sign an agreement with the tenant that the sharing will be like this, no?
So, kinontempt nyo po?
Kinontempt sa ibaba. So, nag-appeal. Appeal lamang doon sa contempt proceedings. Nung nakita ko na ang pinag-uusapan doon, it was something like magpinsan, okay? One is not really much better off than the other. Kaya lang, masyado masipag. Okay? Yung mga anak niya napapaaral niya doon sa, it was a small land, parcel of land. Pero kinultivate niya ng maigi. So he could get a lot of produce from it at yun ang pag-tuition ng mga bata. When he was about to graduate from his responsibilities towards the children, andito na yung kasin. Sabi niya, Manong, baka naman pwede nang pag-usapan natin kung gusto mong mamahinga as a farmer. At itong mga bata naman, kaya nang...
Will take over.
Yeah, i-take over. Your children are almost all professionals now. They have good jobs. Tingnan mo naman itong mga anak ko. Hindi ko ito makakayang ma-professional. Baka naman gusto mong, ako na lang mag-tenant. Okay. Sabi niya, total, after I am through with my responsibility towards my children, isawi ko yan sa'yo.
Yung land.
Yung land, okay. Coconut land. Iba pagka coconut land, hindi masyadong maasikaso ang landowner dahil you don't fertilize. You wait only for the fruits, eh. Yun ang tendency natin. You know, ang sakit nung sa kabila, they thought na, I gave this to you, fully planted. Why are you going to require me to sign an agreement na 75% na sa iyo ng produce, ako 25 na lang. Okay. So,
that was the ultimate issue in that case at hand.
So, pinag-usap ko yung pinsan. Ano ba ang pwedeng solution natin dito? Nasasaktan man itong pinsan mo na 75 agad sa iyo, na siya naman ang nagtanim dito. Kumbaga sa kulang na lang yung inintroduce mo yung sa products dito. So, is there a way, gaya nung naawa yung pinsan mo sa iyo noon when you were in need, is there now a way for you to show your concern for the other at medyo nasasaktan ang kanyang kalooban? You know, eventually they were able to settle that issue. And what was good is, matagal na silang nag-away as pinsan. At least, before they left the courtroom, they have extended their hand and they were talking to one another. One was in tears. And I thought it was a wonderful opportunity to show to the public that no matter how much or how deep is your pain, there is a way to ventilate that in a very civil, a very diplomatic way, at napapag-usapan ang problema.
Yes, that's a very positive example of what mediation can do and also alternative modes of dispute resolution. More on this when we return right here on Intellectual Property.
Everything we listen to, everything we watch, everything we read, everything we wear. Behind all our favorite things, there is an author, an artist, an inventor. Genuine, real, original. Pushing the limits of imagination and innovation for our comfort, our enjoyment, making life interesting. Enjoy their efforts, respect them. They help shape our world. Everything we listen to, everything we watch, everything we read, everything we wear. Behind all our favorite things, there is an author, an artist, an inventor. Genuine, real, original. Pushing the limits of imagination and innovation for our comfort, our enjoyment, making life interesting. Enjoy their efforts, respect them. They help shape our world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Intellectual Property. Well, we are talking about mediation, and tonight we have as guests Justice Teresita Diliaco Flores and Attorney Edith Hechanova to share with us their experiences in the ongoing mediation efforts in the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. But before we return to them, I'd like to acknowledge the support of the World Intellectual Property Organization and David Salon. Yan. So, Attorney Edith Hechanova, yan, usually po trial proceedings are adversarial.
Yes.
But as opposed to that, mediation is about the bottom line, about reconciling parties and letting them achieve what they really want out of each other at the shortest possible time.
Yes, developing options by which both of them can be happy at the end of the process.
So, ano po yung, I mean, hindi naman po hostile yung mga stakeholders natin?
It is possible na may hostile. For example, depende kasi merong situation na yung iba galit talaga eh. So, ang mediator will try to calm down this person before going through the process, no? But so far naman, in the IPO, the parties are always, I mean, ang tanong lang nila pwede na ba nating i-terminate? Kasi
gusto nilang matapos agad.
Matapos na, o kaya talagang hindi interesado yung kliyente nila. So we just have to explain to them that we have to go through the process, and it will be beneficial also for their client to look at the options that can be developed during the process.
During the mediation processes po, are the parties involved or usually lawyers din po nila yung?
No, the parties are involved. No? Actually, ang preference are for the parties to be present. But in the IPO kasi, we have a lot of, what do you call this, applicants or registrants who are foreigners. So these are usually represented by lawyers. So for those applicants or registrants, the lawyers appear. But certainly the encouragement is for the parties themselves to be present during the process.
Usually when a case is assigned to you po for mediation, how do you go about it? How do you prepare for it as a mediator?
Well, ideally, sometimes, of course, if you have time, then you have to ask if you can read the case files. You'd like to have a background exactly what the dispute is, because you're trying to help them come up with options. So you have to be familiar with the case. So you do that. And sa mediation office naman, they facilitate the review of the files. They bring it to you, or you can go to the Bureau of Legal Affairs, so you can have access to the files.
Justice, I'd like to ask you, in your term as a justice and as a judge even, and now as a mediator, ano po yung pinaka-challenging ninyo ng mga kaso na nahawakan? If you may share that with us.
Ang medyo mahirap na kaso sa court na immediate mo, yung unlevel ng hostility ng parties masyado pang mataas. Kumbaga sa parang galit na galit pa. So ang problema ng mediator is, how do you calm them down? Para pag nag-usap, walang sigawan. And then, yung mediator he will have to give instructions. Pwede ho ang pag-uusapan natin ganito, ang rules ho ganito. Pag siya ang aking tinatanong, hindi ho muna kayo sasagot. Dahil pagbibigyan ko kayo ng pagkakataon na masagot din kung mayroon siyang sinabi. Okay? So, you provide the rules. And then, sinasabi ng mediator, kung hindi ho natin kasi ito matapos agad, saan pa lang na stage tayo? Halimbawa, sa Court of Appeals, mayroon pang another court. Pag ang desisyon dito ng hukuman, hindi nagustuhan ng isa, baka pumunta pa sa Supreme Court. So, gaano katagal bago natin mabibigyan ng solusyon ang inyong problema? So, ang approach ng mediator always is, alright, kung ganyan ho ang inyong problema, na isabi nyo na sa atin sa harap-harapan, pwede ba naman na marinig natin yung kabila? What made you behave this way? Bakit ho ang yung approach ganito? No? Okay. So, those are little difficulties sa mediation pagka masyado pang galit. That's a very challenging situation. Second, there are instances sa mediation na the parties have inflexible positions. Very rigid. Lalo na kung yung party maraming chuchua sa around him, di ba? Yung
other opinions,
correct, and then telling him, no, you should only agree to this, yung ganyan. Hindi nila nakikita na when one agrees to sit down in negotiation, allow him to determine first, ma-analyze, ano man aking problema dito? Ano ba ang gusto kong maging solusyon dito? Kasi nagtatawaran sa negotiation para kang you're in the market na, bakit naman yan?
May tawaran.
200, no? Pwede ba naman yan? 120 na lang.
So that's allowed in mediation to...
Correct. Kasi di ba kung minsan pinag-uusapan
damages, yes. Okay. So may tawaran din po. Pwede bang 200,000 na lang o 150?
Correct. Now, dito naman sa IPO, kung minsan ang nagiging problema namin, dahil, let's say, a company based abroad, nagpapa-register dito ng trademark, or a local one, magpapa-register. Then, darating yung opposer dahil sasabihin niya, the trademark he wants to register is already by name, registered by us for a long time. Okay. The beauty is, sa mga ganitong sitwasyon, generally, walang, kumbaga sa parang very few instances na may bad faith. Yung gusto magpa-register na parang similar to the other brand. Generally po, mas gusto nila yung their own. Okay. At saka generally naman dito sa IPO, the market is so huge. For example, let's say in the case itong mga those who are selling grilled chicken, fried chicken, di ba? Ang dami ngayon yan. Mayroong andok, mayroong baliwag, mayroong mangbox, mayroong Jollibee, mayroong you have mang inasal. Ang dami. Now, chances are, pagka nag-register sila at mayroong opposition, one of the things we suggest is, you look at it from this point of view. The market is huge. Di ba? By whatever name na gagamitin mo, for as long as masarap ang binibenta mo, you will always have a very good following. In other words, malaki yung consumers mo. Alright. Now, another company would say, ba, matagal lang ginamit namin yan. We have paid for the registration and we have invested on the good name of that brand. Okay. So, makikita nyo talaga na true, a lot of consumers would be attracted by the good name that a brand has. Di ba? Kumusta yung sarap niya. And then, ngayon, nafa-factor na rin, tingnan mo rin kung paano yan niluto. Baka naman tayo dyan puro Ajinomoto. Parang gano'n, no? So, ang consumer ngayon, correct, they are becoming more intelligent. They make very good choices now. Happily, ito, very wide and market. So one of the things that we do, alright, ito ang brand mo, can there be little changes that we can make? Para hindi ma-confuse ang public na itong brand mo, baka
Kamukha,
yun,
oo.
no?
Parang hindi
Kahawig,
kamukha, yes.
okay. Para sabi namin, pag na-change mo yung some modifications in your brand, yun doon sa signage mo, baka matanggal yung opposition. Okay. And in fact, the parties would say, okay, ang color ko, ang dominant color ko is red. Huwag mo naman gawang pula yan. Pwede ba naman, change your color? Diba? And then there are catchphrases. Pwede man i-change mo naman ng konti. So that eventually, they agree na yung opposer, sige, tanggal na yung opposition ko, but these are the terms. So doon sila nagko-compromise agreement.
So during the hearing, meron din po palang
Conference.
consultation on the brand design.
Yes,
ano
yes.
nangyayari.
Yes.
Attorney Hachanova, what are the usual cases po that are placed under mediation?
Normally, it's an opposition case or cancellation case.
Cancellation?
Yeah, I haven't seen, cancellation of a trademark registration or opposition ng trademark application. So, yun ang usual cases na hinahandle ng Bureau of Legal Affairs. Also, mga petition, for trademarks and also design patents. I think sa patents wala pa, no?
Wala
But
pa.
design patents meron na. So, yun. Yun ang usual na hinahandle sa mediation. Infringement, probably, but I haven't seen, maybe some other mediators have come across an infringement case that is being mediated. But so far, I haven't seen it. It's usually an opposition or a cancellation case.
Of a trademark.
Yes, of a trademark or a design, design patent.
Yes, and when it comes to, siguro another peculiarity of handling intellectual property cases is that we're dealing with businessmen, people who capitalize and do business with, of course, their intellectual property.
Yeah,
So,
it's really for the business
for the
to identify their goods or their services. No?
So they would want a speedy resolution talaga.
Speedy resolution, and syempre something that they will be happy at the end of the day.
Something to be happy about. Oo nga
Yeah.
po, no? Kasi katulad na you were, Justice was discussing yung sign. And if there are modifications and then mawawala yung opposition, then definitely you as
It's
a
possible,
businessman,
yeah.
you would have to abide by that. You would
Yeah,
have to
it would
change your
depend kasi
sign.
on the modification, no? If it's an insignificant modification, siguro hindi pwede. But if it's significant enough na hindi talaga marirelate doon sa kanyang trademark, talagang iba na ang itsura, certainly siguro pwede nang mag-agree. Yeah. And they have to, of course, since it's a contract between them, they have to abide by whatever they have agreed upon.
Yes, the ultimate decision.
settlement
The
agreement.
settlement
Yes.
agreement, what
Yeah.
tinatawag, is a form of a contract. So,
Yes.
dapat ma-execute din yun within a reasonable amount of time, etc.
Mm.
So, kasama po dyan, you bargain the amount that you will pay the other party.
Kasama yon sa
Kasama
mga
yun.
terms and condition, yung amount either, kasi minsan ang option is to sell the mark. Kasi pwede rin yan no? To sell the mark or kung infringement, you pay some amount for, not necessarily compensation for damages, but maybe some kind of an assistance. So, depende naman kung paano mo i-characterize kung yung payment. So, certainly may mga amounts involved, ano?
Or meron ding actions or...
Yeah, action usually to stop or to continue, to modify. Minsan, ang ibang mga solutions is, for example, kahit na trademark registration na, pwedeng i-limit yung goods. Kunyari, yung nag-o-oppose sa'yo, palagay mo ng sunglasses, hindi ka na pwedeng pumunta sa clothes. So, ganun.
Pwede
But
din
they
po
will
yun.
allow each other to use the same mark, except that on different goods.
For example po, halimbawa, we use X brand, tas ang kalaban kita, Y brand, and then ang settlement natin is I will use it on non-competing goods.
Yes,
Kumbaga, hindi
pwede
tayo
rin
parehong
naman yan.
clothes or ganun.
Basta
Pwede
yung
rin
hindi,
yun.
hindi siya natural expansion noong let's say, nung may-ari nung marka. No?
So, ganun po pala. So, very interesting po pala yung
Yeah,
nangyayari
it's very
sa
interesting.
mediation. I mean, you are not confined to a lot of things, unlike if you're undergoing litigation, you're bound by the rules. And, well, normally, tumatagal talaga kasi, I mean, the agents or the lawyers cannot usually of course, say, or parang bind their clients to do one thing or another easily in
Yeah,
litigation.
that's
Pero,
one. Not only that, it's a process, and also you have to present your evidences. So both parties are given time to do that, and you can have as many witnesses as you can, so long as the judge allows it. So yun, nakakatagal talaga.
nakakatagal. Tapos,
Tapos may mga-
i-scrutinize pa na. Siyempre,
Oo,
cross-exam pa
tapos,
ng kabila. So, talagang,
Tapos
yun
yung
ang
availability pa ninyo, kung mag-extend kayo, magka-cancel kayo, tapos yung availability rin ng judge. So yung mga ganon.
Kaya kapag
So that
nag-set
can
ka ng
delay.
hearing, usually 3 months from now, di po ba? Pero pag mediation, you can also set the time na maybe 3 more sessions and then let's end it. Meron di po
Yes,
bang
kasi may
ganun?
period naman,
Yes.
di ba, Just?
Yes.
60 days, and then you can extend for another 30 days. That's a total of 90 days. In between, you can have as many sessions as you want.
Or just one. Tapos
Yeah,
na yun.
pwede
So,
rin.
ang galing, di po?
Oo.
Di po ba? I mean,
Pwede rin
ano,
i-marathon ng isang buong araw, ano? Yeah.
straight
Yeah.
hearing, kumbaga.
That's the beauty, Sarah, sa mediation. And rules, puro informal. Di ba? Kung napapag-usapan nyo rin, o kung hindi natin ito matapos ang problema sa 3 settings, baka naman, mediator, ma-extend natin for as long as you are seeing that both of us are eager to do this, na maka-compromise. So, yun ang maganda sa mediation. Not only na yung the essence of what will resolve the conflict ang napapag-usapan ninyong dalawa, pati yun na yung proseso, no? Ang dami mong mai-exploit. For example, kaming dalawa ni Edith ang may problema. Ang pinag-aawayan namin, halimbawa, she has a trademark at ako naman may trademark. Halimbawa, ipapakancel niya yung trademark ko dahil hindi pala maganda doon sa ano niya,
Kamukha.
naka-encroach ako. Okay, kamukha, naka-encroach ako doon sa ano niya. If I will lose my business, pwede kong sabihin, kung matatalo lang naman ako, Edith, dito, pwede ba naman you can give me assistance? Or, mayroon akong anak na, she cannot find a job yet, but she's ready now for work. Meantime, can that be part of your assistance to me? Dahil, on the basis of the facts, talagang dapat ipakolapse ko ang aking business para you will stop your case against me dahil naka-encroach pala. Now, because Edith knows na wala akong bad faith, I committed only an error. Kulang yung aking research na may kaparis na palang dati yung gusto kong maging brand name. Maybe she will agree to that. And we can resolve the conflict based on that. In court, kung ang pinag-aawayan namin trademark, doon lang. Hindi pwedeng makasala, sasabihin ng judge, bahala na kayo dyan. Now, pag may sakitan na yung dalawa, nahihirapan ng ganun, no? Na you will still concede to what the other is trying to seek from you as a matter of help. Pero sa mediation, ang dami mong options para mo ma-terminate yung conflict without as much pain to the parties. So, kahit na nalugi ka dito, mayroon naman na pantapal, di ba? Something in exchange you get para hindi ka completely destroyed business-wise. So, mayroon kang mga options. And the beauty, yung sa mediation natin, mediators are trained. Hindi lamang the skills to mediate ang tinuturo. The Philippine Judicial Academy train mediators. Before they will accredit you, they will allow you to go through a process, tinuturuan. IPO does that. Dahil ang Intellectual Property Office, tinuturuan not only the substance of intellectual property, they just don't teach the process, but they want to make sure that both the substance of intellectual property and the process of mediation are together in every mediator. So, when we face parties, yung mga lawyers, mga stakeholders dito sa intellectual property, alam na nila that we as mediators train na muna before we are made to handle cases. So that ang thinking namin, hindi yung palaging, what does the law state here? Who has a better right? Ang court palaging ganon.
Yes.
But when you are a mediator, that's part of the things that you look into. But you are made to think outside of that box. Wag lang law. Paano natin mabibigyan ng how do you unburden this guy who will have a difficulty because of this problem? At doon nagtatawaran yung nagna-negotiate yung mga parties. So there is a wonderful way to end conflicts. And that's what we are trying to do in intellectual property. And it seems, well, since we have just started this year, in February, it's not easy to immediately expect, oh, there will be lots. Kasi dapat din yung preparedness of the parties to sit down with the opponent.
With the opponent, yes.
With the opponent.
Have to face each other.
Yes, so,
face off ito.
Correct.
Yan.
Of course,
So,
the rules are still important, no? Kasi the mediator has to be familiar with the rules of the IPO on trademarks or whatever right is being mediated. Kasi hindi ka naman pwedeng lumabas doon. No, but certainly, yung mga options na i-develop mo are talagang malawak. You can, yun na nga, kagaya na example niya, you can put in, let's say, giving a job to a relative, no, as part of the settlement agreement. No?
Oo.
So,
Kasi contract naman yun eh. So, ibig sabihin, may meeting of the minds.
o tsaka
ng
hindi
parties
naman
and
siya illegal eh.
Oh, it's
So,
not
it's
illegal.
still, so pwede yun. Kung may capability naman yung the other party to give a job, and that person naman na inaano niya is qualified. So, there is no impediment or barrier not to agree on it.
Yes, you're right. It's legal and it's allowed, and certainly from your stories po ay maraming satisfied customers ang Intellectual Property Office when it comes to mediation. Alam niyo po, nakakatawa yung office nila. There is a sort of a menu, I'd say a menu of mediators, no? All of these are accredited mediators by the Intellectual Property Office of the
Menu ba
Philippines.
tayo?
And you can choose your judge more or less. I mean, imbis na judge, ang tawag po natin on this setup is a mediator, and you can choose that person to be the mediator for both of you, and then you can decide how long the session will take, the frequency, and also yung duration. Other than that, also the agreement as to the damages or lawyers' fees, and even positive actions after, just to end the dispute. So yan, so I'm going to ask Justice Flores and Attorney Edith Hechanova to invite our viewers to undergo mediation if they have they're thinking of filing an intellectual property case with the IP office. So this camera, please.
Gusto po namin na kumbidahin kayo lahat na mayroong mga paraan kung paano natin mamibigyan ng solusyon ang ating mga problema, halimbawa sa business rival, o kaya sometimes conflicts develop not only in family, not only in neighborhood, but in a bigger setting. Ang dapat ho maisip natin, marami hong paraan kung paano natin mabibigyan ng solusyon ang ating problema. Huwag lang hong maging palaging yung fixed or very rigid ang ating position. At bibigyan ho natin ng paraan yung mga problem solving sa mga mayroong mga nagsasakitan ng loob. And we hope na pagka ganito, pagka ang isang lugar palaging may conflict, the members in that community palaging may labanan, may away, ang hirap mag-asenso. But when you have peace, wala ng conflict, nasisettle mo yung conflict, you move forward, you think of other things more productive. Kaya mas maganda po na yung ating mga conflict sa isa't isa, let's sit down over a cup of coffee, pag-usapan. Wag ho muna yung nagsasakitan ng loob, marahas ang salita o marahas ang aksyon, no? Let us be cool-headed, find out how we can find a solution. Ang sa akin pong pagkaalam, kahit na yung kalaban din natin, nagmimithi rin na matapos ang problema because nobody enjoys a problem.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Now, Attorney Edith Hechanova, please invite our viewers to experience mediation.
Yes, here. Yes, for those who have pending cases with the IP office, and for those who are intending to file any type of case involving intellectual property in the IPO, I would like to encourage you to look at mediation and welcome it, even though it's a mandatory process.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. That's Attorney Edith Hechanova and Justice Teresita Diliaco Flores joining us tonight right here on Intellectual Property. Join us again next Friday for another edition of IP right here on Global News Network.
Everything we listen to, everything we watch, everything we read, everything we wear. Behind all our favorite things, there is an author, an artist, an inventor. Genuine, real, original. Pushing the limits of imagination and innovation for our comfort, our enjoyment. Making life interesting. Enjoy their efforts. Respect them. They help shape our world.